Hi everyone, Erica here, Media Communications Director at Criterion HCM, and today we are joined by Amanda Bailey at Brown University. So Amanda,
Hi, Erica.
thank you so much for joining us on the Future of Work series powered by Criterion.
Thank you for having
And
me.
you're welcome. It's a pleasure to have you. And today we're going to be talking about learning.
Mhm.
So before we go into this topic, I would love it if you could just give us some background about yourself, introduce yourself, tell us
Sure.
about what you do.
Well, thank you very much again for this opportunity. And if it's one topic I love talking about in HR is about learning and development. And so a little bit about me. I've been in HR, grew up in this space. It's my 26th year, believe it or not, in HR. And I've been doing 16 years of this work in education specifically, and had the benefit of developing my HR acumen in more administrative individual contributor roles in private organizations, private sector organizations, um, before ever stepping into education, where I took on more progressively senior roles. And so I'm one of the few HR colleagues that have had the benefit of seeing the evolution of HR over the past 2.5 decades and really loving the wave right now that we're all on.
Let's go into the subject together of learning, and let's begin. I would love to ask you, how do you use technology to promote employee learning?
Yeah, I think, right now in this space that is such a hot topic, I think there are tremendous opportunities to leverage learning, particularly not just as add-ons to our HCM platform, but as separate software programs that are mobile ready, cloud-based, and don't require a lot of time and effort in the process of implementation and in the process of integration. And so we'll certainly talk about some of those examples today, but very much right now, organizations are in demand to create a learning agile environment. And coupled with the learning agility, a very employee focused experience. I feel strongly that with the learning agility mindset, every individual, from an individual contributor all the way up to senior executive leader, everybody's a leader. We were able to really exemplify that and enhance the experience and move away from in-person learning, which thank goodness we got the implementation of finalized maybe a month before March of 2020 when the world
Wow.
changed. Yeah, so very, very much wedded to it. And I've been able to speak from experience to see the transformative impact it can have. And I think it's up to us as HR leaders to really advocate for that, because in turn, our employees see not just the signal of care to their development, but they also see that we appreciate their ability to want to learn and grow more, right? So it's almost a win-win-win, a win for the employee, a win for the institution, and a win in terms of their ability to see a trajectory for themselves.
On that note, I
Yeah.
would love to ask you, how can learning be used as a tool to grow employees within an organization?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think to that point, right, of seeing
Exactly.
employees, seeing themselves enhance and grow within an organization, I think technology is, I don't know how else to say it, it's just an extraordinarily integral piece and component of it. It is virtually impossible to deliver the same employee-driven experience from learning that can be replicated in person with automation and technology. It is virtually impossible to do it. And the reason I say that is, having been in HR for all these years, in and outside of the nonprofit education sector, what I know for sure is HR never has enough people. Like every other administrative business operating unit, we never have enough people. We want enough people. And we're never going to get that. And we shouldn't, right? The resources have to be devoted to our forward-facing clients and our customers and our students, in my particular case. And so the necessary resources need to be there. So it's up to us in these, very critical areas like HR to find technological solutions that can leverage and replicate that in-person employee experience that's necessary for them. And
Mhm.
so I see it as the cornerstone to being able to springboard our employees to have that experience in as many times and places that's convenient for them. I think the other thing that's really key for us to keep in front of us as a radar is, McKinsey's Future of Work, right? Very eloquently research-based report, their annual report outlined 1 in 16 jobs are going to be disrupted by the skills factor. And many of the jobs that we typically have where we're working now that require physical work as a majority of their jobs are going to need to be reskilled. And those colleagues of ours out there are going to need support and encouragement to learn a different suite and cadre of skills to help them grow into new jobs over the next decade. And the other data point I'll share with everyone, Erica, is, very timely that most employers are offering and have been offering wellness days to allow our employees to disconnect, but they've also been offering opportunities during the workday for our employees to learn. And over 90% of employees across the board in different industry sectors are finding that that is the single most demonstration of empathy back by their employers, is when they can learn and grow, take learning on demand or otherwise during the workday and not having to use their own personal time to do so. And I think those statistics really compel us to move technology forward and find every single way we can enhance it to get that experience in place for our employees.
So how would you recommend using an HCM solution to foster employee learning and growth?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's multiple ways. I mean, there's tons of, the tech market for HR,
Mhm.
as Josh Bersin, very repeatedly and frequently talks about, he's right on time and right on the money, if you will, to share how explosive the market has become. And with the agility of having add-on cloud-based application software programs that require very little ramp-up time, it is the perfect opportunity for us to take to see how HCM solutions can foster the employee growth. There are multiple ways to create a learning culture. It doesn't all relate to just coursework, if you will. Building a learning culture and doing it in a comprehensive way needs to be more than just a one lane thinking, if you will, for the program design. It needs to be a suite of different it needs to be comprehensive in a different suite of different lanes, if you will. So part of it is a technology solution. Part of it is listening to the groups that are within the community or within the organization and seeking input from employees, one through surveys, through anecdotal feedback, right, through representatives, through the HR community, right, employee representatives. At Brown, for example, we're highly decentralized, and we really leverage the feedback day to day almost from our HR business partners. And that's another way. Building employee resource groups is another really key asset to gain employee feedback without having to just rely on survey data to get a pulse of how employees are feeling and how they're in particular needing us to help them develop a learning environment. The other two pieces I'll mention as part of that comprehensive program, one is to create a very strong coaching program. It can be very small to start up, but it is tremendously impactful, whether it's peer-to-peer coaching or supervisor to employee coaching, but instilling and embedding as many ways during performance conversations, check-in one-on-ones, dedicated space and time for group meetings where coaching can be done in breakout rooms for groups, for example, in Zoom, is a really important component of that learning culture. And having, in addition to that, mentorship programs scaled. So the mentorship doesn't necessarily need to be with a more veteran employee to a more junior employee. It could be the other way around. I've seen very effective mentor-mentee assignments from a newly hired employee coming in with lots of ideas about things that could be done, and pairing up with a more veteran employee who really was looking for a different way to discuss enhancing existing processes and programs and services. So I share that to say, at the backdrop, that's the type of learning culture I think we all aspire to, and we're in the progress of building. And so what next comes, this is value add of, now let me see how I can leverage our HCM platform to build that in. Those types of data trends are really telling. And it's very important to rely on that data to figure out where else do we need to go to continue to expand that learning culture mindset. So I think there's just a tremendous opportunity that's untapped that most of us are in progress of identifying now, like I've been doing. And those of us who are using it are seeing great results of being able to move quickly to not only gauge data that's necessary for us to find out what is our employees world like? What are they experiencing, and where can we help them, particularly help avoid burnout and keep them engaged to be productive and to keep learning and growing? So the tech market is definitely, the right time for us to explore more of those.
Well, thank you for sharing all those great examples with us.
Thank
And
you.
this brings us to our final question. So
Sure.
what advice, you have so many great insights. So if you could give any advice to HR leaders in 2021, which has been such an interesting year,
Yeah.
what would it be? Take it anywhere you want.
Yeah, well, thank you for that question. I mean, I love this profession. I've loved being here to speak with you, Erica, and talk about this great work. And, if I could just segment into three major categories for my HR colleagues out there. With the unprecedented year that we've had, I would say to all of my colleagues, commit to creating that agility from a learning perspective, not just for the team in HR, but for the entire organization. We have a very, very strong set of imperatives ahead of us from a global market perspective and a domestic national market perspective of reskilling, upskilling our employees. And it's going to be more on us to lead the dialogue necessary that allow our employees to learn and develop new skills and find new opportunities to keep them within our organization. So I'd say, commit to having and maintaining a learning agile mindset within the organization and having that continue to reverberate. I think the second key piece is advocacy, right? I think that as an HR leader, I understand, and I'm sure you've heard and seen it well too, right? We do everything for everyone else. And so it's really important that HR leaders continue to maintain advocacy for their own team, guard their time, guard their well-being, to prevent them from being burned out. It's a great model for the rest of the organization to learn from and to see how it's done and how it can be done really well.
Mhm.
So I think advocating for the HR team and advocating for all of the employees that comprise the workforce, regardless of whether they're full-time or part-time, they could just be visiting, they could just be affiliates, but they recognize the experience and attention paid when we are asking all the right questions that they don't have the opportunity to ask. And I'd say the final thing for my HR colleagues to think about is really making sure to be intentional about carving out time to connect with other HR colleagues at their level. Um, Having experience in senior roles, I can certainly share that it's a lonely role sometimes where you're expected to be the counselor for so many, and there are not many other counselors you can go to. And so the best form of therapy and learning for HR colleagues like myself is connecting with others. And it's a tough thing to do when you're already working a 16, maybe 18-hour day. But carving out just 1 to 2 hours in a month even can be significantly impactful to keeping ahead of what's coming and to allow your team to learn about those trends. But then it's also fulfilling to connect with other colleagues and know that your experience is not yours alone, that their experience is very similar, and we can learn and share best practices that don't make it so hard to research what the solutions are. So, maintaining that connection with other colleagues would be the third thing I would certainly say is a key takeaway. And I hope that they benefit from hearing all three of those.
Thank you. We definitely benefited from everything that you said. It was exceptionally interesting
Thank you.
and insightful. So thank you so much for sharing it with us. And
Thank you,
thank
Erica.
you, Amanda, for joining us on another episode of The Future of Work, powered by Criterion HCM. Our listeners surely learned a lot from you this evening, and thank you again.
Well, thank you all very much. And I look forward to having another opportunity to meeting with you all.